All right, welcome to another episode of Let's Go Brandon Green. Today we have three gentlemen from Canada, and they call themselves Money Mind DNA. And it's an interesting concept what the guys have here, and I'll let one of them, we've got Charly, Dr.Ganz Ferrance, if that is how you pronounce it, and Mikolaj Raszek. Are you Serbian or something there or something? Yeah, so, or Croatian.
Close, and Polish.
Oh, Polish. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so all the great doctors are from Poland, you know. A lot of pioneers from there. Yeah, man. So who can start? What are you guys?
All right, so maybe I'll start. So we got together three different experts. We are experts in our own fields. And my expertise is medical DNA testing. Ganz, his expertise, he's a psychologist, so he does mental health well-being. And then Charly is a financial expert, and since we started chatting together, we fantasized about creating a package that could combine our expertise together, that we could bring all of these efforts and qualities together in one package together for an individual. In a way, you can think of it as a wholesome well-being package, because I take care of someone's health by looking at their DNA. Ganz can look at someone's mental well-being by tinkering with different methods of how to maintain a proper mental health. And then Charly takes care of financing, which also is one of the biggest stress contributors in life. And we want to offer this package to employees of different companies to make sure that their employees can feel at the peak of their well-being, which can translate to the peak of their performance.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I mean, if you're a business owner, think about this. Imagine every single employee, from the CEO down to the person that cleans the building, has a well-structured financial plan. They are properly insured. They're investing properly. They got a retirement plan. They have a resource where if they're dealing with anything towards their mental health, whether it's this COVID stuff, children, divorce, issues from 10, 20, 50 years ago. And then the last piece is that big question mark about their DNA and their health. And they're just like, geez, I'm always late for work. I'm always ill. I'm taking 3 or 4 medicines. And, you know, sometimes I don't feel 100%. Where someone can come in these 3 areas, work with your business and all of your employees and fix everything. Not fix 100%, but give resources for employees. Now, if you're a business owner, what do you think the bottom line is going to look like? If your competitor is not doing that and you are doing it, what is your retention going to be like for your employees? What is morale going to be? Absenteeism, WCB claims in Canada's Workers' Compensation Board, disability claims, things like that, right? So that is the goal, is to go into the business, work with them, and help them become far more profitable and more efficient. Now, whether you're 10 employees or 1,000 employees, we have resources to work with companies, you know, or literally any size.
Yeah, I can definitely see how it works. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to say too, I just want to add that, you know, so we do the full spectrum too. Like, we can help if there's already an issue, for sure. But, you know, a lot of our thrust is really all about prevention and actually even enhancement. Because what we know, especially when it comes to anything, what money, your mind, or your DNA, or your health, you know, the best defense is a good offense. So when a person, an individual, a group, a company, when they're working on their well-being and they know sort of the best practices of people who are happy, healthy, and high functioning, well, if they're putting these into practice, they're going to not have big problems with their morale or turnover or low productivity or what they call presenteeism, when you're physically there, but your mind's actually somewhere on vacation, right? We want to make sure that the company, the workers, the leadership all have the same tools to be able to make sure they avoid some of these bigger problems that we've been facing, and you know, just kind of support their people and become stars in their field.
Yeah, right. So this is a pretty unique concept, but over the last, 5 or so years, things like this have crept into larger companies, probably 20 employees plus, and, it's big on boosting staff morale. There would be days like workshops, similar to what you're doing, but you're doing it as a more holistic approach or something. But it does seem very interesting. How did you start this idea? It's all so random, came together and went boom. Let's offer this.
Go for it, Mick.
Well,
Yeah, I think I'm the connecting piece here. The reason why is because I had the opportunity to present live with both of these gentlemen separately on separate occasions. Fantastic experiences. They're both amazing presenters, and we're discussing the idea, imagine being able to work together. And I introduced them, and then we were thinking, no one is really offering this type of package. No one has thought of this concept where we could bring different expertises together in basically everything under one roof, if you will. Okay, and then we thought, why don't we just see if we can put this together, and not everyone has to necessarily use all of the services from all three of us at the same time, but we provide educational content together that overlap, that complement each other. And the idea is to make sure that people at least have starting tools so they don't have to be lost, and they know what to do in order to continue striving towards their best well-being, personal well-being.
Yeah. And how did you all meet each other? How did you know each other in the beginning to form this?
Yeah, I had met Mikolaj, Dr. Raszek, through a networking group, and our personalities just connected. We kind of liked each other, and then we met Ganz through that event. And I think, when you meet someone, you're kind of like, this is my people.
Yeah.
It's just I think we get along, and we're kind of, we're expert in our field, but we're just normal, goofy kind of guys that kind of laugh, and I can laugh at myself, and I certainly know they can laugh at themselves, and not being too stuffy. And we have working with two doctors like I have been, and I feel as if they talk at my level, because a lot of times when we work with smart people, they talk way above you, and so most of the time when they're speaking to me, I'm like, I understand what you're saying, so I kind of like that.
Yeah,
and it was attractive to me. So when we had met and we said, let's form something, let's work together somehow. And, we've been working together for the last year and a half, putting this program together. We meet once a week, and we've actually cultivated a really intensive, I think, but fun. I think this the key thing is, somebody decides to work with us, and they're going to have a lot of fun. We're not a bunch of boring, stuffy guys. Hopefully you can tell by my office that I like to goof around. There's a chair over there I like to take some naps on. After taking a trip to Europe, siestas became really important to me.
Yeah, the Spanish style. All right, so we'll just go into each of you what you guys do for the businesses. And I guess first, before that, it's been pretty good so far, I'd imagine, all the feedback with the clients currently.
Yeah, everything has been really positive. I guess I'll go first because I'm the money in it. And essentially what I go in is when I come into a business, we're going to take a look at, your group benefits plan. If you have any sort of profit sharing or matching or a pension plan, and I'll create some efficiencies there. Or if you don't have one, I'll help you set it up. And then when it comes to the employees, I'll work with them individually so they can have actually a structured financial plan so that they can achieve some of their retirement goals. When they make a decision to stop working, they actually have some money. That's really important. A lot of people decide, hey, I'm going to stop working, but then they don't have any money.
Yeah.
They don't have any way to actually facilitate the retirement goals. So that's what I do. Make sure people are properly insured, make sure they're managing their debt correctly, buying high quality investments. A lot of people have access to pretty low quality investments. So I want to buy high quality investments with them. Also help them with their tax planning, their estate planning. That's kind of my function in the group. And then Dr. Ganz, I'll let him explain his.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the mind part. So I'm a registered psychologist, and I've been in the field for about 30 years. I've worked with big companies, worked with our national police force here in Canada. And I've also, I spent some time in Chicago working in the inner city. So actually working with like gang members and, some of those folks there, helping them with some of their mental health stuff. And, one of the reasons that I really wanted to do this, like my personal sort of goal and mission is to just help people do better generally. And a lot of times, particularly when it comes to psychology, people have some really, really kind of weird ideas of what we do, and they don't know much about us. They think of, I don't know, Frasier or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or, something that's kind of out there. And so it's nice to see like an actual person that you can, interact with and ask questions. And like I said, get the best practices of highly functional, happy, high performing people. For me personally, I know that, what I teach, and especially my emphasis on prevention and enhancement, came from my own story of burning myself out a couple times, actually. One time I woke up in this little town and I had a headache for like 2 weeks and I didn't know where I was. It took me like half an hour to figure out where I actually was. And it turned out I was in this little town. It was this little circle I was doing when I was first starting off. And I realized then, fortunately, that I did not have a stroke. I was really worried about a stroke, but it wasn't a stroke. But it was like burnout. And so I realized, okay, I have to have a system to help me avoid this, but also, overcome it. And what I found is in my practice that the majority, I'm talking 95+% of the people I worked with had some issues with some part of the system. So I started teaching it and, have had really good feedback, and I've been able to help a lot of people, and got together with these two gentlemen because I want to do more and take it to companies and, get them where they're working so they don't burn out. They can actually have high performance and save themselves, their families, and the company a lot of grief.
And manage it.
Absolutely.
Before the big burnout comes, and then they resign or get fired.
Or get
cause a problem.
And then they're calling me to put in a big disability claim or an insurance claim, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it all does complement each other. And then Dr. Raszek, your one's pretty interesting. I've never really heard of it before, but how did you get into, what is it?
That's right.
DNA
I'm the DNA guy.
Yeah.
And for sure, it's the most esoteric component. And when we talk about DNA, because DNA is becoming a colloquial term, and we're looking into your DNA irrespective of whether it's actual DNA or not, right? It's this symbol that we're going deep into the roots of a problem. I literally help people look into their DNA because DNA, you can think of, it's like your program code that literally made you, but also runs you on a daily basis. And you can look into that program code to determine if anything could go wrong in the future. That's one of the ways of using that information.
Doesn't that cost like a fortune to look into that though?
So somewhat like that, yes. So you can think of it. It's
because if you're having a baby,
like
I think
crystal ball to some degree.
Can't you like go toward like get tested, like if you're having a baby and to find out if you're a carrier of something? And
absolutely. That's one of the benefits you can do. I highly recommend for parents to always screen themselves. While the likelihood of developing a disease in a child because two parents bring mutations together is small, it is very real and it's easily avoidable. That screening is one of them prior to having a baby. Screening oneself. So I screen myself to see if I had any genetic conditions that could lead to future problems. That's another one. Another very good one, big one, that this is how we can complement, for example, Dr. Ferrance is looking at pharmacogenetics. So that's looking how you as an individual might be dealing with medications based on your genetics. Medications are given to you normally randomly. So the reason why I can complement Dr. Ferrance here is because obviously he deals with mental health. A lot of medications in that arena, in that medical specialty, and it's very tricky medical area to treat with medications. This is a good example where you can look at your genetics, for example, to see how medications might be applied to you so then you can appropriate dose it. Many different little tricks you can do with genetics, little things you can learn about yourself that not that long ago was completely unavailable to us. So yeah, new technology,
And
new
even
area.
foreign
Everyone
to-
has heard of it. No one knows how to use it.
Yeah. So, like, I've got a question on that. Like, if you have a drug, for example, a pill, and then you have a side effect to it, and then 2-3 years later you have it again and you don't get that side effect to it, or you don't have a side effect to it and then you suddenly get that, how do you determine that? Because that's happened to me and it's like, that doesn't make sense.
Yes, a good example, to some degree, you could be looking at that. Side effects, there could be a number of different reasons for why something like this could happen. But let's take one of the most obvious ones, and that's inappropriate medication dose. So if you take too much or too little of the medication, as opposed to the right amount to your personal biology, there can be complications. It's not uncommon. What you can do with genetics is you can look at mutations that we all have and see how these mutations translate in terms of how your metabolism for a specific medication works. And based on that information, then we can tell, oh, you should take this much of this medication as opposed to this much. This will be a problem. This is fine for you.
Yeah, because it's all to do with the like enzymes and the receptors, and everyone, on the box, or the doctor says take one tablet, but your enzymes or something else you could be doing could be blocking that. Isn't that's something, right? Isn't it? Yeah. So it is crazy because I have PKU, which is phenylketonuria. You probably know, and like, would they make two parents then get too scared to have someone like me, who's the most brilliant person in the world? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, it's like you saying, like, we all have all these broken DNA. We do, and it's like, at what point do you say, "Oh, I'm not having a baby with you"? Are we trying to make the perfect person, or like, we're not going to be able to do it?
Depends on the condition, right? Because I absolutely agree with you. Condition doesn't define a person 100%. And we all have something.
Mm-hmm.
However, some conditions can be very debilitating.
Yes.
Very debilitating. Yours could have been, but yours would have been discovered immediately upon birth and was immediately dealt with. That's part of the newborn screening that's been ongoing for decades now. And if I'm not mistaken, it might have been because of this condition that was one of the earliest tested for in newborns in general.
That's
but
correct.
Now, then look at, for example, full genome meaning all of your DNA. Imagine doing that as a newborn screening. You could literally test for thousands of conditions in one go, thousands. Yeah. And it's not about trying to ensure that we produce the best baby only, as opposed to whatever baby is born, let's try to give them the best advantage in life by removing as many complications as possible. So this is not about designer babies. It's more about, once the baby's born, how can we help the baby so that the baby can thrive?
Yeah, well, I guess it is quite a rabbit hole down that industry there, or whatever you're in, and it is quite unique. So how do you adopt these to the employees of the businesses that you go to?
Who wants to take? For me specifically, for all of us?
Yeah. Well, I think Charly's mentioned what he does, and I think Dr. Ganz as well. But yeah, for you.
Okay, sure. Then that's true.
Do they get a blood test? Does everyone just get a blood test,
right?
Or what? Yeah.
So first of all, genetic information is private. So say if an employee was offering this type of service to the benefit of their employees, then the employee would find out if there's any potential issues up front. The benefit of that is that, you deal with any issues up front. Usually that can be solved much, much easier than when the issue is already present. That removes the problem of actually losing employees, especially key employees, due to potential health problems. So that's one of the ways. If
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, hey, boss, it looks like this employee's got lupus due in a couple of years. And, this one actually suggests that heart disease is pretty prominent in this malfunction. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I think maybe I'll jump in here quickly and say that now, when we do individual things, the company's not included. When I structure a financial plan, when I'm sitting down with an employee and their spouse, I'm not reporting back to the employer.
So you're all
saying,
working one-on-one with the employees, not the...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, whereas I'm thinking traditionally they go in and...
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's not in a group setting where everyone is saying, well, how much money do you make? What's your debt level? How much insurance you need? No, these are all kind of one-to-ones that's facilitated through the business.
They're real good CEOs or directors that are hiring you guys to come in and make everyone feel like they're getting proper treatment in all areas where no one's an expert.
Right, exactly. Although we do come together and we provide educational seminars first. Because our priority in the first component is education first, because we believe that proper education is
well, you got to get the message out as well of what you can do for them as well. So that
exactly right. People can then decide what tools they want afterwards on their own. They don't even have to even use our services if they don't want to, but at least they are empowered with valuable information to make sure that what they can do to take care of their health. And we're talking about financial health, mental health, and physical health. That's so that first we provide 6-week-long educational seminars. That's what the company, for example, can purchase for the benefit of their employees. And then afterwards, if there's a desire to use our tools that we can offer, then employee can decide on that individually.
Yeah,
well, that clarify.
It's wow, you guys are a miracle, man.
Well, I'll give you a little bit, just a taste of kind of what some of the with the education part. So a lot of people don't know this, but like psychoactive medications, we're talking about like mostly like antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication, those sorts of things. They're the second most highly prescribed group of medications in the world, right? The first most highly prescribed group is actually heart medication. So Dr. Raszek actually, with looking at somebody's genome, can figure out a whole bunch of stuff. One, you can look ahead and see if there's going to be some issues and deal with some stuff. Maybe get some insurance from Charly to make sure you're covered, right? But also prepare, and then you also know you can really dial in your medications so that it's not hit and miss. You don't have to go through this long period of having a bunch of side effects. The medication doesn't work and you struggle, and and all that time that costs the person, costs their family, and really costs the employer, because something like depression, for example, or burnout, that's really the number one cause of missed work right now. It's like, a lot of missed time for employers is mental health, burnout, all those different things. And then, so this is just one little thing that we can teach people. And of course we have strategies to help them, not burn out and have a good life and that sort of thing. But the other piece that most people don't realize is that money is the number one cause of stress for individuals and the number one cause of fights within a relationship. And if you don't have that handled, it causes a lot of problems, again, at home, for the individual, and at work. And so we can give people some basic understanding of what to do, how to look at that, but even how to have the conversation with their loved one or their financial advisor or their insurance person or whatever. Just being able to ask intelligent questions and having that conversation reduces people's stress, helps them make better choices early, so that they avoid all the problems for themselves and don't have that drag into work, right? So people get that in the upfront parts of our presentation. And like Dr. Mikolaj said, maybe they work with us, maybe they don't, but at least they walk away with some good information that can help them personally and as an organization.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, there's people out there that go to work every day or on benzos 24/7 still.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's the walking wounded.
Really?
Right? Mm-hmm.
That's weird. Like zombies, probably, or something. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, yeah, no, what you do is quite incredible. So, yeah, Charlie goes in and makes sure that they know as much about finance as they can. And, yeah, and Dr. Raszek, you go through and it sounds like you can show them how they can, prepare for the future with their DNA and have a look into, even with them having kids, I guess, and things like that. You can show them how that can help. And Dr. Ferrance, you make sure that they know and understand what medication they're taking and actually what it could be doing and hindering them. And I guess is that what you do? And you're like,
well,
yeah.
Sort of. I mean, that's if they're at that stage, I can help them with that. But I really prefer to help them avoid that to begin with, right? If they are already on medication, we can work to help them make sure they're taking the right stuff and doing the other stuff that goes along with the medication to help fix whatever issues they might be working on, right? Because what the research shows is that particularly for depression or burnout, medication alone is not the answer, right? Medication can help, but it helps make you present and give you enough energy then to work on the lifestyle things that you need to do to get your life in harmony and in balance. So you don't have the stressors coming at you. You're not overworking. You're making sure you're sleeping right. You're not fighting with your kids and spouse, So really working on prevention.
And when you had your burnout period, were you medicated for that to get back on track?
Well, for the first one, I definitely was. I was on an antidepressant, and fortunately, my psychologist that I was seeing at the time, and I've been seeing my own psychologist for the last 30 years as well. I believe in buying what I sell. So, and so I was working with this one psychologist, and she said, because I was hesitant to go on the medication myself, but she said, listen. You need to do a couple things. One, you need to have energy to work on the things that are going to help your life be better and help you feel better. And two, you need to have something to help you remember what the target is. I was burnt out enough that I didn't remember what good felt like. What was I striving for? What am I shooting for? And it was a very helpful thing to be able to say, oh, this is what I'm supposed to feel like. Okay. All right. Now, good. Okay. Now I got some energy. Let me listen to my shrink. Let me do the stuff I need to do to help me get to where I need to be. And so
you can really be in the people's shoes that you're working with. Yeah. So it really helps you relate to being in their shoes, who you're working with.
Yeah. Been on both sides of the couch.
And that's what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what you need, man. Doctors with experience, not just reading something out of a textbook. Because
100%.
That's
it. I say that
so
everything I do has been, battle tested in the lab of my life. So there you go.
Yeah. No, that's good. All right, guys. So where can businesses and I guess people find out more about you? Both as like individual and as a group.
As a group, we have a website, moneymindDNA.ca. So it's easy to remember, Money Mind DNA. That's where business owners can sign up for the seminar and where we can actually provide further information. What would the seminar look like and so on. That one is free. And then the companies can decide, do they even want this package for their employees? Totally worth it, especially these days, right? When we're going through a mental health crisis as a population because of the severity of recent events, right? And we also, of course, have individual businesses and we can be found out that way as well. So maybe I'll go first, and mine is called Merogenomics, and I have a website with the same name, MERO Genomics with an S at the end, .ca. Same with YouTube channel, Merogenomics. And then I'll let you gentlemen take over with your own information.
Sure. So so mine is this AskDrGans.com. That's my personal one. So askdrgans.com. And like I said, practical down to earth advice so that you can feel and do better. But that's how you get a hold of me. But yeah, our first seminar, by the way, is no charge, right? So companies can come in, take us for a test drive, see what we're all about, figure out if they like us or not, and then they can figure out if they want to go further. So the first one is, the introductory is free. It's come and check us out, come see what we're talking about, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. And Charly?
Nice. And mine, my company is called Entrepreneurs Wealth Management. So we have a corporate division, also family practice, where myself, I would sit down with the business owners, and what I typically do is, I call it a corporate wealth plan and a personal wealth plan. So whether you have a business and you're incorporated, whether it's a professional corporation, operating company, holding company, I'll work with you and structure the most efficient investments, tax planning, estate planning. And then on the family side, I do the exact same thing. And maybe what I'll do is I'll touch on a little bit of our process of so people have a better idea. The first thing is we have seminars every probably month to second month. We'll have a seminar for about 45 minutes to an hour. And all it is just explaining our program. And we're going to give you some tidbits on how the program works, what it looks like. And if somebody elects to say, yes, I'd like to purchase the program, then we go in and we have a 6-week course. So 6 weeks, 2 classes, each of us. So you're going to get 1 hour from me, 1 hour from Ganz, 1 hour from Mikolaj, and then 1 hour from me, 1 hour Ganz, 1 hour from Mikolaj. And what we're going to do is kind of do a more of an overview of what my program looks like. So what it is like working with an actual licensed financial advisor, not somebody off the internet, not someone from one of the big banks or
you're a financial advisor.
Yes. So I'm a financial advisor, fully licensed, and have been since 2007. So I'm going to go in and share my knowledge with them. And then Ganz is going to do the same thing. And then Mikolaj is going to do the same thing.
And do you guys have something over there called superannuation?
See that again,
superannuation?
Please? I've never heard that term before.
So that's the term in Australia. That's why I can't really get too much into with you. But I actually was a wealth strategist for 3 years, flying around Australia, selling off-the-plan developments using capital growth and negative gearing. All the terms are not, they're not, how do I say, universal between Canada or Australia and the world. But that's what I was doing as well. And it helped people with, they could buy an off-the-plan development, and then by the time they settle on it, which is when they give all the money, then it usually goes up with capital growth. Then you use that also that money towards like your negative gearing with your salary, and it's all intertwined. And then superannuation is the money that you get when you retire. So the government, I think in Australia, is 65 years of age. Yeah. What do you call it over there?
Well, we have so you have RSPs. If you're talking about from a product perspective, you have RSPs, tax-free savings account, non-registered accounts, and investments through insurance policies. Yeah. So in Canada, there's only 2 investment vehicles that are tax exempt. That's our tax-free savings account and something called an insurance tax shelter. Yeah. And so I help people, educate them on what those things are, how they work, and see how it complements what they're doing. Yeah. So ultimately, the whole goal of our program is people to first take the 60-minute free course, register for the 6-week seminar, and after they've gone through that process, if they say, wow, I like this Charly guy, I actually want to go ahead and implement a personal wealth plan, then we would meet outside of the company, and I would sit down with them, and then same thing with Dr. Ganz, and same thing with Dr. Raszek. Yeah, and so that's our process. And in the meantime, while we're going through this, we got to have fun. I'm a firm believer in, enjoying what we do, and not just about a bunch of stiff, financial professionals. No, you can tell you guys are pretty, because people that do what I do typically are really boring. Yeah, they're really, really boring. So I try not to be boring.
That's why I left the industry, man. It was like too much. I was ruining my life at 23 or so. I was like, this is not normal. Even though I learned everything. But like I said, it's not universal, and all the terms you just spat out, I know nothing about, even though they're probably the same concept. But yeah, on that, a lot of people have no idea about what Charly does, but once they even spend 45 minutes with someone that knows how to work the law and everything and what you can do with investments, they make so much money just so easily in a few years. 90% of the time. And definitely Charly, people like him, they're underrated, undervalued. No one knows about them, but once you're in the loop, you're in the loop. That's why people have investment properties and people don't.
I like that.
Yeah, and they work the same. They make the same amount of money the whole career through, except the guy that went and talked for 1 hour with someone like Charly, they were open to the opportunities. Yeah, man.
And it ends up when they're 65 years old, their net worth is going to be 2 or 3 or 4 times more.
Correct.
Than what those people that didn't
just because they were in the loop, taking advantage of things that they were exposed to. All right, guys. So yeah, excellent to have you on, and I've learned a lot too as well. And what you guys are doing is great. It's a real good tune up for everyone to come and visit you, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it.
Well,
have us on anytime.
All right, yeah, come back if you got some breakthroughs. What about you? If you can tune my DNA up, man. How you looking into that with long COVID and that? Have you seen that that's related to any mast cell activation syndrome or anything with the DNA? What?
There's definitely genetic predisposition to these issues for sure. It's heavily studied. There's a difference though between discovering that information, which is published, and there's a lot of that information already published in the scientific world, versus validation, meaning confirming that it's even real. But definitely this is an area of intense research. And yes, there could be genetic predisposition to how severe you might end up with COVID as well as long COVID. But there's many different things that could be influencing these outcomes. For example, with long COVID, you could be activating some of the dormant viruses inside of yourself.
Yeah, that's what I reckon. So it can still just linger on for years.
We'll find out how long this will be, really, in terms of long COVID. Yeah, it's hopefully not because we all want to be normal and enjoy our lives, right?
Yeah,
and we're all sick and tired of this pandemic.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
We're over it. What happened in Canada was pretty crazy too a few months ago, but I'm over it. I want to be able to travel again, but I'm unvaccinated because I had other problems. I wasn't going to get the stuff. Right. And then thank God I didn't, because I've got a lot of friends, man, who have a guy that I went and had dinner with yesterday. He finally admitted to me that his heart was broken after he sleeps at 100 beats a minute and stuff, stuff that's not normal. And but the doctors are saying it's just the anxiety. It's not. How is that normal, man? That can't be normal. And he's admitted to me. What's that?
This is the problem, right? Because it's people don't always know how they're gonna react personally. I mean, myself and my whole family were fully vaccinated, and we had no problems. My mother, who's 98, fully vaxxed, I think she got 4 shots now, right? And she's still kicking. But this is the thing, right? It's this is why genetic testing and all these different things are so important, because if we can get to the place as a society where we're using this type of technology more, we can really dial in a lot of stuff, medications, vaccines, whatever, and we'll know a lot better who's going to have a poor reaction to something than
Exactly right, man. That's why when they roll out a vaccine and they say, go and get it, everyone, whoa, what can it do? Because last year I got a severe light sensitivity, very rare, and the doctors still don't know what it was. And I was getting sunburnt from my mobile phone. Not sunburnt, like a burning, like a blowtorch feeling. I had to live in the dark. And then I got in contact with a lady who had the same thing. She said, take an antihistamine. Within half an hour, I had the craziest migraine. I had the tiniest little bit of fexofenadine, and I was tolerable to light again. So I'm looking into that. That's why I know a little bit about that, because it's like, what the hell happened? And then when you're saying that you want to give me a vaccine, but I can't travel, because of that. As if I'm going to go and get that into me when clearly no one's dying from at my age.
But personally, I completely agree with you.
Crazy,
vaccine is not for everyone, because some people have predisposing conditions that they might be afraid could be affected negatively because vaccine. I was always against coercion. It should be a personal choice.
100%.
One wants to be vaccinated. For sure. My YouTube channel, Neurogenomics, talks a lot about vaccines, the mRNA vaccines, because mRNA vaccines, that's the technology that I'm interested in. mRNA, of course, is part of your genetics, and hence I study that information a lot. So definitely check that out as well.
Yeah, all right, we definitely will.
I chose to wait. I said, I'm 48 years old. I eat organic. I exercise. I meditate. And I said, I trust my immune system to handle anything that comes across it. And in the event my immune system doesn't work, then I will seek medical advice. But I trusted my immune system, and my immune system performed amazingly over the last 48 years. So I'm extremely happy.
So you didn't get the vax?
I chose not to. I chose to wait. And it's not saying that I will never have it, but in the event that I feel that I need it, at that point I'll participate.
It's us, mate, the pure bloods. People like Dr. Raszek will, in 10 years, they'll all make us go to an island and just pump supermodels to keep the humans going with the pure blood, man. Who knows, man? But yeah.
I like it. Hey,
all in.
I'm in.
But yeah, it'll be interesting how it all plays out.
Remember, Greenland's an island
man,
too.
I don't know. Yeah. Who knows what? But yeah, it's interesting, man. But I definitely have friends who have stuffed their hearts and stuff from it. And he actually got COVID and it got better. So you hear of people with long COVID who then take the shot and they get better. He actually got the shot that broke him, like COVID traditionally does for people with long COVID. And he got COVID and then it fixed his heart back into the gear. Like some weird stuff going on, man.
It's a weird condition, eh?
Yeah, it is weird.
And too complicated, really.
But the government controls.
We're still learning. We're still uncovering.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys.
The science behind all of this is really complicated, and there's so many factors we still have to tease out.
Yeah, and time.
Well, that's the fun part that I'm having, because the videos are all about, hey, here, that's what the latest science information shows, and it's never ending.
Yeah,
science never quits.
Science is settled. Yeah, exactly, man. All right. Well, I'll definitely personally check that out. That does sound interesting, what you got on there. All right, guys. Well, you have a fantastic rest of the yesterday over there, and I'll wish you all the best.
I like that.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to you.
Cheers. Thanks so much for having us on.
Yeah, nice to talk to you from the future.
Yeah, it was lots of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, guys.